Hi, my name is Aaron with iBoard Repair and iPhone Data Recovery, and today I'm going to be working on a very smashed iPhone 10. Um, Super damaged. I figured I would start this video before I opened it, just so you can see how smashed this is. I'm sure it's going to have interposer sandwich problems, so we're going to have to put this into the jig and see if there's any other problems going on with it. So I'll open up this phone and I'll pull out the motherboard and we can get started on it right away. Okay, I have this motherboard out of the housing. Let's take a look at it. So it's a bit bent, for sure. I like that the bin's only on one end, it looks like. This is obviously going to be taking touch out of the picture, so touch is not going to be working on this. It's possible that there's other shorts on the board. I'll go ahead and touch voltage to the battery connector to see if there's any mainline shorts on here, but I'm not going to prompt it to boot until after I split this. So no shorts according to my DC power supply. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to split this board, and it'll be better to work with just the top board in this case. This bottom board, because of this space right here, is obviously not going to be good. So I'll be using a donor bottom board in a jig when I want to connect this. The bottom board just connects to the touch connector right here. And that's really the only reason you even need the bottom board at all to pull data from these phones. It's just so you can get touch function back, and that's just so you can trust the computer and pull data. So we'll put this into the into the heating platform. And I like to run mine for about 4 minutes. And that's usually the perfect time for it to split. So I'll run a timer on my phone. And I'll pause the video for about 3.5 minutes, and then when it's ready, I'll be back. Okay, it's been about 4 minutes now, a little bit under. And this should be ready to pull now. This isn't laying completely flat, so the heat hasn't transferred all the way, I think. I think it can go for another 30 seconds or so. There it goes. All right. Let's see how many pads we're missing. And we're missing quite a lot of pads. And this is going to be quite a lot of work because of how many pads we have missing here. So I'll have to double check, but any of the pads on the outside for the 10 are always ground. But on the inside I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39 missing pads. That's a lot of missing pads. But I only need the pads that control touch. I don't know if any of these control touch for the 10, so I'll be looking at schematics for that. But these pads are going to have to be rebuilt in order to pull the data from this phone. The only other option would be doing a CPU transplant, and that's going to be a whole lot more risky than just fixing these pads. So always take the safer option when it comes to data recovery, because it's just so easy to ruin the data. Before I do that, I should probably make sure this phone is actually booting, because it should still boot with top board alone now that the bottom board's gone. um, depending on if it's like Qualcomm or Intel. One of them should probably just, I think, just goes to DFU mode, but the other one boots. So let's just see what it does. So I'm pulling open my schematics right now just so I can double check where the power button line is. Right there. Okay. So let's see what it looks like when I prompt it to boot on my DC power. So that looks like a boot to me. Just in case, I think I'm going to grab a battery charge port and a screen, and let's see if we get some image. So one moment while I grab that. Okay, so I was distracted for a moment, so I had forgotten where I was, but now I just remembered I was going to be getting a screen for this. So actually, let me grab that screen. Sorry. Okay, so screen, battery charge port. Let's see if we have image and if it's booting up as it is now. I of course will not have touch because the touch board is not connected, but we can still see if it's booting at least. And yeah, I got image. So yeah, you can see that. Let's see if it boots up all the way. And it doesn't have the, oh, never mind, there it goes. So yeah, it's booting up all the way, data's still there, we just don't have access to it because we don't have touch. So this job is just going to be repairing the touch pads on the back of this top board. Obviously I don't have touch. So it's still good to see. We're on the right track. This one should be perfectly fine as long as we get those touch pads fixed. So next step will be identifying which lines are actually the touch pads. So I'll pull open ZXW. So here's my board view software. So we have a lot of these pads missing and a lot of these pads missing. As I was mentioning before, you can see that all these gray pads, this is all ground, and the outside of the tin motherboard is all ground. I actually really like that design just because it makes it easy for me to know what's what. You know, the excess went away from that model. Okay, so let's see where I'm missing. So I do have a feeling that all of these are going to be touched. Maybe not. Let's see. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 lines starting from the bottom. Let's see what they are. First one's BAT VCC. That's going to... is that going to be needed? No, I believe that only goes to the bottom board so you can get a test point on the bottom, but it doesn't actually...
do anything for voltages on the bottom board. So okay, those two pads we're not going to need to fix, so that's good. Racer right here, SPI AP to racer, that's going to be touch. So 3, racer, 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 racer. I don't know what this line is. But it's going over to the touch connector, so that's going to be required. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, just 2 more. Racer, racer. Okay, so all those lines, 8 lines right here, are required. So let's check out the next area that's missing as well. So I'm very much hoping that these ones are all like LTE service type pads and don't have to do anything with touch. Let's see. PP3VOS2. That doesn't look like it actually goes to the bottom board other than a test point. No, oh yeah, test point at the bottom. So that's really the only reason that's there. So that's fine. Baseband, baseband, wireless charging, wireless charging, wireless charging. Great. So none of that's going to be needed. Over here, baseband, baseband. Baseband is just the service that I was talking about. So 4G and LTE and all that is referred to as baseband. Speaker amp, speaker amp, speaker amp, speaker amp, speaker amp, speaker amp, speaker amp. NFC, NFC, NFC. NFC is, I think, near field communication or near frequency communicate, something like that. It's how Apple Pay works, but it's not required. So it looks like we're just gonna have to fix the 8 touch lines here, and then I should be good to go. So that is good to hear. I've had to fix more than 8 pads before, so that's not going to be a problem. It's possible that some of these other pads may be loose as well though, so I'll have to keep an eye out for that. But I'll show you my technique for fixing these pads. It's quite simple, if not tedious. I've mentioned this in a previous video, but Greg Wade showed me this technique. I really like it. You'll see what I'm talking about when I get to actually fixing these pads. But first I just need to expose the copper, the line itself. So the iPhone X just gives you these little tiny spots to tap into, which is what makes them a little bit more difficult to work on than later models. Like the iPhone XS will give me 3 dots to work with instead of 1, and it makes it a lot easier to repair the pads. But we work with what we have, and we should be able to make this work still. So there we go, expose some of this copper. I'll touch all of them with my multimeter here to see if I get a reading on all of them. I believe all of them should have a reading, but I'll see right now if that's the case. I just do this beforehand, so afterwards I know once my pads are in place that if they should have a reading or not. So I don't care what the reading is, I'm just seeing that there is a reading by listening to the beep. So all of them do have a reading. So once my pads are in place, I can go back and double check and make sure that they all still have a reading. So that's the only reason I do that. So we'll just put a little dot of solder on each one of these spots. Where's my solder? I think I was using it as a little stand in the other room. Let me go grab that. Oh man, I'm so sorry. I forgot to show you forgot to switch back the display. So all that I was doing was scraping these pads, exposing the copper, and now I'm gonna put solder dots onto them. But yeah, I was just scraping them like this, just to kind of show them, or to expose them. But sorry about that, I'll be right back to grab my solder. Okay, got my solder here, so let's get a little bit of solder onto these pads. One moment while I answer that. Okay, it was just a telemarketer. Annoying. So it's hard to get a lot of solder onto here. Let's see if the other ones take any better. I'm not getting great solder onto here. When you put alcohol onto here, you can actually see a little bit more clearly the traces. So I think on some of these, I'm going to try to expose more of the plane, the line. You know, most of them still don't have much to work with. So I guess I might as well just work with what I have. I'll just go ahead and add a solder ball onto each one of these things, just so I have a little bit more room. So we'll see if I can get each of these spots to have a solder ball on it, so then when I do my next step, it's easier. So I'll just do that 8 times. So it'll be quite easy for these balls to disconnect because it's going to be so very barely attached. So I'll have to be very careful while I'm working. Okay, that should be fine. I don't really want to brush it because, like I said, it's going to be delicate, so I'll just use some defluxer to kind of clean it up. So now I should have a reading on all of those with my multimeter, and that would confirm that the balls are connected. But sometimes you got to press a little harder than I would like. Okay, all of them seem fine, that's great. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take pads or spacers from another iPhone 10 board, and I use those spacers as a brand new pad. They're very convenient because it's metal on both sides. All I really need to do is smash a pad on top of those balls, and then my pad's fixed. So for example, where did I see that spacer? Here's a spacer right here. So I'll just take that off and I'll smash it onto one of those balls that I made. This board's probably not going to have very many spacers left because I've done this technique a lot of times. But I have other boards I can use. It's a little bit hard because I don't usually use like solder balls like this. It's just I haven't had to do a 10 in a while. I've usually done 10S's lately, and those give you a lot more space to work with to get solder down. But there we go. That looks perfect. That's what I'm looking for. It is going to be a little difficult once it goes in the jig. I probably will only get one chance because it's likely that these pads are going to break off, or the balls are going to break off. I like to get this as flat as possible, but it's kind of hard without burning yourself. Oops, so that wasn't good. So I probably hopefully I didn't break the pad itself. I didn't. Good, it's still there. But I lost my solder. So I'll have to put that back. You know what? I don't need as much solder as is there, so I'll just squish this onto it, I guess. All of them are going to have too much solder, I think. It's going to make it raise a little bit high, so when I go to like push it in the jig, it's going to have a lot of ways to go. See, that is much more secure because there's just not as much solder underneath it. So if I can like get some of this solder to squeeze out as I put these pads on, it's going to be beneficial, but I probably won't be able to on each one. But we'll see what happens. Put a couple more up there. Let me see if there's any over here first. I'll just go in order. No, I didn't see any. So here's one. Oh, I lost it. Don't know where it went. Okay, no matter. Keep on keeping on. So here's pad number 2. Only have 7 more to go, so it's not bad. Last time I did this on an XS, I think I had 13 to do. So, and that went fine. It's quite hard to get the appropriate flatness on this. I think I'm going to use a different tool to push it down. Oh, it's not going to work. Maybe this thing. That's quite terrible. Okay, at least that's not right yet, but at least now I can take this solder ball off. And it's still going to leave some of the solder on the other side. Okay, so this technique is just not working. So I'm going to flatten all of these because now maybe there's enough solder that I can get like a good attachment still, but all of these are going to be giving me trouble if I just keep doing this. So let's see if I can take some of this solder off. Hopefully some of it will stay, but I don't care too much if it doesn't. Okay, so there's most solder on this side. So that's the side I'll try to squish down. The coffee that I was just drinking is not helping me. Okay, it doesn't look bad. That's fine. So we'll just keep on doing that.
want to make sure that the side that has more solder is the one that's going down. Yeah, it looks like the other side. So I get the best chance of a good connection. Take measurements on all those pads and see if they're connected. Yeah, they're all connected. Keep on moving. This one has a, oh no, I lost it. That one had a lot of solder on it. It would have been a good candidate for this. This one does too, it looks like. There we go. I'm most worried about this second one. It's already moved on me once. 1, 2, 3, 4 more. 4 down. This is quite annoying. I don't like having all these come up every time I do one of them. One moment while I take that call. Okay. Yeah, this technique is quite annoying right now. It's because these traces are just so dang small. It's making it hard for these things to stay connected. Okay, so this is not working out well. What am I going to do here? I guess I'm going to have to try to expose more of the traces because this is just not working.
That one specifically has a big old trace anyway, so there's more room for solder on this one. We'll help a little bit. Let's see if I have any more room. It's hard to see without the alcohol. Yeah, there's more room still. So I may have just exposed some ground, which may cause me a problem, so hopefully that's not what that is. That is, I exposed a little bit of ground, so I'm going to have to cover that, otherwise it's going to cause me a problem. So this is getting quite annoying now. This is quite annoying. I don't like this. So I'll put some solder mask to cover that ground. But I really hope these pads will just start cooperating. Because at this moment, they're really not. Okay, so I'll have to put my UV light onto there to cure the solder mask. And then I'm going to have to scrape away some of the solder mask because it's starting to cover the pad a little bit. So this is what I was trying to avoid. I don't want to make these pads worse. They're already very delicate. The traces are just so dang small, which is why I'm so glad they left this style of board. On the iPhone XS, it's just so much easier. I'm working with much thicker traces. So I'll pause this for a minute while it's curing. Alright, hopefully that's long enough. I didn't wait very long, but I'm getting a little impatient at this point. I'll add a little bit of solder to there again, and then see if we can get one of these pads down. That's going to work a little bit better, I think. While I'm at it, I might as well see if I can expose more of any of the other ones, because I know they're all just going to give me problems, and I might even have to redo the ones that I already have down if they keep moving. I really just don't have much room to work with on them. What it has is pretty much what what I'm going to have to work with, I think. I want to get this into focus for you, but honestly, I'm really zoomed in, so it's going to be a little bit hard for me to get you into focus.
I only need touch to work one time while I have it connected to the computer. As soon as I'm connected, I can start taking data, and it doesn't matter if touch goes out after or if it ever works again. Just need touch one time. Yeah, it looks a little better. Okay, well, we'll just keep on doing what we're doing and hope that it works out. I only need 3 more pads, so the problem is, even once I got these pads down, the pressure of the jig is pretty tough. It's pretty strong, so they might break the pads just going into the jig, but I'm hoping the pressure, even if it cracks the solder, is enough to push down the contact to make it have, a connection, even if it's not permanent. Alright, 2 more. This one doesn't have very much solder on it, so hopefully it will be okay. The pad next to it already lifted. When I get frustrated at this job, it literally starts to make my back hurt. I have to remember to breathe a lot of the time because I hold my breath a lot. It's not a very strong connection, neither is that one. Wow. Terrible. Fuck. Okay, both of these are being terrible. Terrible, fucking terrible. Oh, sorry. Terrible, terrible. What can I do? Not much. I'm just gonna have to hope it works. There's really not too much I can do about this. I think I have that flipped on the wrong side. Maybe it'll be better the other way. Yeah, definitely. Of course I ruined the pad next to it, and that one didn't even stay down. And it looks like I can expose just a bit more copper on the last one, so I think I'm going to try to do that. Gives me a little bit more to work with. Hopefully that's enough. Yeah, I like that a whole lot better. So let's just put this last one on, and then I'm going to put in the jig, and let's just hope it works. And whatever doesn't work, whatever breaks, I guess I'm going to have to go back and do. But maybe, just maybe, it will work the first try, and that will be an ideal situation. Okay, if I can just get any beat out of all of these, I'm going to call that fine, and I'm going to put it in the jig. I also have to make sure I don't press too hard or I'll break them. Like that. Okay. So all of them gave me a reading. Obviously this one broke, so let's see if I can just expose a little bit more like I had been doing. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a better solder like base to work with. There we go, that's going to be a lot better. So once this is connected, I'm very worried about like these two. I don't remember about that one. That one doesn't look great. Not too bad. Oh, there's the pad.
Okay. So let's see if that's good enough. It survived the brushing, so that's good. So I'm going to grab my jig and I'll be right back. Let me switch to the big screen first. Okay, got my jig here. I just put that there honestly because I like to have something in frame. That might be weird, whatever. Where is it? This goes up here. Should go off. Okay, so the bottom board I need. Let's see. I think this one should work. No, this is not the right one. This one looks like it should work. Yeah, it looks like I've used it before at least. Okay, I can just have full screen on this mode, I guess. It'd be the easier, the smarter thing to do. Okay. Moment of truth. You're gonna work touch. I think I forgot my connector piece. Let me grab that. I had forgotten this little guy. Put it back on now. Okay, so here is where, if any damage is going to happen, it's going to be when I squish this closed. So let's just do it as even and slow as possible. So now I can lift this connector and I can measure the pads and see if any are broken. So you know what, the problem is I won't be able to put that back down, I don't think, if I lift it. Maybe I can still. Let's just see first. I don't want to cause any more mechanical stress than I have to. This computer's free right here, so if I get access to this, I'm going to take data from it immediately. I'm getting a new desk soon because I don't like this clutter, and I just don't have a better solution with the space that I have. But I think I'm going to order a desk from Uline that has like the whole backing and I can put containers in it, and I think that's going to be better. I unplugged this charger from the actual dock, but I want to plug it in before I plug in this screen just so I don't have to like move it around afterwards. Alright, so it may need an update. Some of these, I can never quite remember for the 10 because there's two different models of 10. Sometimes they need an update before they'll accept a new bottom board. Sometimes they don't. Hello. Okay, sorry about that. I had a customer come in, so I just unplugged the battery real quick, but I'll plug it back in and let's see if it's booting. So, do I have the passcode ready? I do. It's right here. 0620. Let's see. Am I booting? What do I got going on here? Apple logo good. Come on, touch. It may have to have me go through a prompt to, or a swipe to upgrade screen. We'll see. Can you see this logo? You can. Okay. Touch works. Yes. 0620. Okay, it's going to require me to do an update though. Most likely because it's freezing on the last digit of the passcode. Which it does sometimes when it has a new bottom board. I believe it's checking for the NFC and it can't find it, so it kind of freaks out. But once you do an update, that usually resolves this problem. There has been some reports from some fairly reliable people that donor bottom boards, like separate than the original, have been causing some problems during updates. But I haven't seen that myself yet. Just want to make sure this doesn't progress to the swipe to upgrade screen. Yeah, it's just going to springboard reset and it's going to go back to where it was. Okay, so I'm going to have to do an update to this phone. Which I'll do off camera just because it will take a little bit of time. We don't need to wait for that. So I will be right back once this is near completion and we can see if I have access to data. So I will be back once that's ready. Okay, the update did finish and it did take quite a bit of time, almost like half an hour, maybe a little bit longer. We are at the swipe to recover screen. Touch still works. So I'll put in the password and it's gonna go to the attempting data recovery screen, and that will also take 10 minutes or so. So I'll be back once that's ready to show you the hopefully okay and completed repair, and then we'll be pulling the data after that. Okay, so it does look like I'm in. Let's double check that. Okay, I'm in. I have access to data, and I will be able to take the data now. So great. I'm so glad that's over. I was getting a little frustrated with those pads. I cursed one, so sorry about that. They're not very sturdy pads. This wouldn't really be great for repair. It's funny because I used to do this for repair, and I don't remember it being so difficult. I haven't had to restore a lot of pads on a 10 in quite a while. And I think my problem was on this one was that I just didn't scrape the pads enough. I should have allowed for a little bit more surface area, so the little metal discs, whatever they're called, the spacers, would go on there more securely. So I think that was my problem. And if you attempt this technique, that's probably what you should focus on is fully exposing those vias, because in my case they just didn't want to stick because there was such little surface area. But real quick, I can show you that I have access to it. So here you can see 3 utools, which is what I use to take backups, and I have access. So I'll be able to take a backup of this right now. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little something that could help you along the way, or if you're not a tech, I hope you just kind of enjoyed the content and seeing how these jobs are done. Appreciate you stopping by. I hope you have a great day, and see you later. Bye.